Welcome to the Change Revolution podcast with your host, Phil Cooke.
I love teams. In fact, I'm a teamwork guy. There's nothing I like better in our company than getting everybody around a table and kicking around ideas and tossing concepts and things like that. I like to work with people. I'm just a people person. I took a DISC profile, which is kind of similar to Myers-Briggs, and in every case, when it comes to people, interactivity, those kind of things, I go literally off the chart. So I like having people around, but at the same time, I know teamwork isn't the only way to solve a problem, and very often it's time to shut the door and actually get something done by yourself. In fact, if you've read much of my material, you've heard me write the fact that I think the guy that invented the open door policy was an idiot, because sometimes you just need to shut the door, get away from people, and focus on what you have to do. Team is important because you get a lot of ideas from a lot of different people, but the truth is, Fortune magazine a number of years ago ran a survey. They sent a survey to their executives evaluating their employees. And when it came to the things they most desire about, the most desirable aspects and traits about employees, teamwork was listed number 7. It was actually pretty low when it compared to other things. So the point is, we need to temper our teamwork. It was interesting that I pulled a study recently that was done in France by a French cultural engineer named Maximilian Ringelmann. And Ringelmann did an interesting study where he was measuring farms and the farmhand's workload on the farm, and he discovered that when they're pulling a rope, like pulling a wagon, pulling farm equipment, other things like that, when they performed as a team, it was kind of like tug-of-war. When they performed as a team, the individuals didn't work nearly as hard as when they pulled the rope by themselves. Now listen to what I'm saying here. In a scientific study in France, they discovered that when people worked in teams, the individuals didn't work as hard as they would have when they were on their own. So I think the key for using teams is the initial excitement, the initial catalyst of making ideas happen. Throwing things on the table, getting stuff out, because you hear from a lot of different perspectives. I have a friend that is a great problem solver and works with companies helping them solve problems. And when he gets a company in for a consultation, he'll bring in a military general and a football coach and a nurse, a surgeon, a teacher, a housewife, because he wants to look at their problems from a lot of different angles. And so teams are great for that. But when it comes down to the hard slogging, the hard getting down to business and really getting things done, that's when it's time to close the door, get into a place by yourself, and really start to focus. You know, neurological research has told us recently that the brain really doesn't multitask. We think it does, but the truth is, whatever we multitask suffers. If we're doing more than one thing at a time, those individual things, we're not going to do as well as we would if we were focusing individually on each. So use teams for getting things started, for jump-starting ideas, for creating a platform for new concepts. But once it's time to really get down to business, I think very often it's time to focus, get in an office, get to a different place, wherever you need to go, where you're not going to be interrupted, not going to be distracted, and you can focus on the task at hand. Teamwork is great, but there's a time to shut the door and get to work yourself.
Join us for more of this conversation at Phil's Change Revolution blog at philcooke.com. That's PHILCOOKE.com. And keep checking this podcast for more up-to-date dispatches from the front lines of media, faith, and culture.